Welcome back to BT here on a Tuesday morning, a very special one. It is, of course, Election Day in America. And for more on this, we're joined by Josh Green, professor of political science in the San Francisco Bay Area. Josh, good morning. It's a huge day for you down there.
Good morning, Thor. Good to be with you.
Yeah, let's talk first of all about the record voter turnout in some states.
That's right. We've already had 100 million people go cast their votes early, if you can believe that. That's 2/3 of the entire voter turnout for 2016. So we're already talking about a historic election with record-breaking turnouts. It'll be really interesting to see how many people show up today in person at the polls.
We are seeing some major cities boarding up businesses, bracing for possible violence depending on the outcome. What are your thoughts when you see those kind of images during Election Day?
Yeah, there is a lot of worry about unrest today. A lot of it may depend on kind of the rhetoric that's coming from President Trump when the returns come in. We'll see how that goes, but I will say that I am hopeful. Like Canadians, Americans have a long tradition of respecting democratic outcomes and going with the final tally. And so I'm hopeful that's going to happen today.
And some of these late vote returns, where will they be a key factor? Which states are we talking about for some of those areas?
That's right. So just a reminder that we don't have a national counting system. We're dealing with 50 different counting systems for all of the 50 states. So tonight, people are voting right now, and the polls are going to close in, I think, only 9 hours on the East Coast. When that happens, some states will have their returns and some states won't. So if you're watching and would like to go to bed tonight, I would watch Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. Those are all southeastern states, and they all have been counting their mail-in ballots already. So they will have probably accurate returns pretty early in the evening. And I should add that Florida is a must-win state for Trump. If Florida goes for Biden early in the evening, we might be looking at a Joe Biden presidency.
And with respect to what the two leaders were doing yesterday for Donald Trump campaigning, what was the sort of tactic for him on the day before the election?
Yeah, last night he held his last rally in Michigan, and that is very telling because, as we mentioned before, those three states up in the north, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania is also a key state. Both candidates spent a huge amount of their time in the last week there because they really need to win. Trump especially needs to win all three of those states the same way he did in 2016 if he wants a path to victory today.
And what about Joe Biden's tactic yesterday? It seemed like he was going on a little bit more of the offensive.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's needed to step it up. He wants every single last vote. He will need every single last vote, especially in Pennsylvania. Remember, that's his childhood home. He's from Scranton, Pennsylvania. He mentions that often in his speeches. And so he needs that state to flip over from Republican back to Democrat.
Josh, you're in California. It's not exactly a major player with respect to the election. What is it like to be an American voter in a state that doesn't really have a huge role like that to play in the U.S. election?
That's exactly right. Because of the Electoral College, if you remember, California is really not a player because we already know that all of the electoral votes today will go to Joe Biden, the Democrat. But I will say, there's a lot of other things on the ballot that California voters get excited about. We have local initiatives. We vote for our senators and, of course, our representatives in the House. And so I think, voting is just a very great way to express yourself as an American citizen. And, I see a lot of passion in the streets and just among people I know.
And we'll leave with this stat. If Donald Trump loses, he'll be the first incumbent to lose re-election since George H.W. Bush all the way back in 1992.
That's exactly right. There's only been 3, actually, out of 11 incumbents since 1948 who have lost. But I should point out that Trump's approval rating is actually hovering around 44 or 45%, and George H.W.'s approval rating was 48 back then.
Okay, interesting. We'll all be watching later. Thanks so much for your insight, Josh.
Thanks so much.
All right, you take care. Coming up, we'll have much more BT,